Joining me here is Karen Barone. Thank you so much for joining me here on Limelight.
Thank you very much, and especially the pronunciation of Barone.
I had some Italian experts to help me out with that.
I should have known.
So as you can see, we're in a pretty colorful studio right now. You had a French word for this one.
Atelier. We are in the atelier, which of course is the French word for outdoor studio for an artist. And our atelier is filled with art and color and paintings and sculpture, and is an environment that I wish everybody could live in. However, we don't live in this space. We just utilize it to do little touch-ups or take in store paintings, of which we have many because Tony and I are very prolific. And a number of our paintings were done together, which are many of the rabbits and the animals that you'll see. And now Tony is back to painting on his own, and I'm his obsession. So every one of his paintings I am graced to be within.
Yeah, and Tony is her husband, and both of you are pretty famous for your art all over, and you have several different mediums. One of the ones that certainly seems striking and famous to me is the big metal sculptures that you can see all around the valley, from El Paseo to along Highway 111. So tell us about that and how that really came to be.
Well, we're very fortunate. The city of Palm Desert and Rancho Mirage and Palm Springs, but especially our city of Rancho Mirage and Palm Desert, are very attuned to the arts. Now, in Palm Desert, they actually have an arts commission. In Rancho Mirage, we have a cultural commission. So they're limited in how much art they can actually have within the city because art needs to be maintained. However, that's something, because I have such a passion for our art, that I take care of having maintained. I send out a studio assistant that works every once in a while, and every week he goes and cleans them all up, gives them some love, and we're fortunate to have him be able to do that. Now, Palm Desert, when we originally did the rabbits, Desert Warren, which we'll call Desert Warren 1, that was at the atrium in Rancho Mirage. It was an amazing environment. The city loved the idea of having 9 rabbits there. And then the city of Palm Desert came to us and said, "What's wrong with us? Why don't you have any of your rabbits and art in our city?" So you couldn't exactly say no, because they are so giving and they have wonderful El Paseo. So there they are, 9 rabbits. And now I must tell you, they've now been there for 4 years. Everybody loves them. I get wonderful responses and thank yous for having them publicly viewed by them on a daily basis.
And I have a personal connection where one of the first sights that I saw when I got to Palm Springs for the very first time is driving down Highway 111 and seeing your sculptures. Good. So it's very cool to meet you in person.
Oh, thank you.
So you're originally from Chicago, and then you had a chance in New York to really expand your art before you got here. So share us about your beginning and your roots.
Well, let's see, beginning. I like to think of my beginning, although I was young and did a lot with color and makeup and things of that nature. But when Tony and I met, there was a synergy that took place, and we just evolved as artists together, which is a wonderful thing to have happen. So we began working together. We became very well known in Chicago. We actually designed some very famous restaurants there, but they were designed not as places to put paintings on the wall, but as sculptural environments. So you walked into a sculpture.
Tell us about your time in New York. You were named Soho Pioneers, which seems like quite the name to receive. So tell us about that and all the history there.
Well, it was a very early stage in our movement through our art, when we decided to leave Chicago, because they knew us so well, we began to think they were thinking of us as designers mostly. And of course, art is the prevalent nature of our beings. So we decided to move on. And at that time, it was a choice between New York and California. California hadn't quite moved along in the art world as quickly as New York. So we chose New York to start with. Soho was a new neighborhood. There were only actually 3 businesses at the time we arrived there. And we started what would become one of the biggest small makeup companies in the world. And we had more real estate for our art packaging and our product, which was pure because I'm a vegan. I'm very specific about ingredients. And we were in Bloomingdale's, Macy's. Then we moved on to Galeries Lafayette in Paris, Topshop in London, and 10 different stores in New York.
So then, what's your journey here to California, and how did you establish your roots in Rancho Mirage, of all places?
First, I came here for a birthday, and I stayed at the Ritz. I looked at the mountains, I looked at the palm trees, the weather, and I said, oh, I think this is where I want to live one day. I've never uttered those words and haven't since. So that was our first occasion of being there. About 6 months to a year later, we were invited by the city of Cathedral City to help them in city planning, where the Civic Center is, where the courthouse is. Where now, of course, there's movie theaters, etc. And we did that, and we were put up again at the Ritz, and I said, okay, this is definitely meant to be.
So where do you see your art evolving from this stage?
Well, it continues to grow. As artists, you seriously never know day to day what you'll be doing, who walk in the door, who's going to call you. We recently started doing the characters in our own style. Bas-relief is what we're calling it, and I know everybody should know that term for all the buildings in Greece and around the world that have frontages of art, but they're one-sided and they hang on buildings, etc. Well, Chuck Jones did Bugs Bunny, which we all know, and he did the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. So the Chuck Jones Gallery, which is the family of this amazing artist who had a hand like none other, he could draw anything, came to us and asked us to do an interpretation of their Roadrunner. They fell madly in love with it. It was very unique for them. It is, again, like a three-dimensional, two-sided aluminum sculpture, hand-painted, and they asked us to now do Wile E. Coyote. So Wiley was just accomplished, and Wiley, of course, is a little threatening, but he's meant to be that way, but it's really an animated character.
Especially with the future of your art installations in the Valley, how do you hope it progresses from here?
I hope it goes on and on and on, because the more people that we touch with our art, and we also did the Our Hero Dog, of which there are 33 across the country. And that was a blessing without question, because we have such respect for our firemen and our first responders. And it's a delightful way for children all the way to, let's see, I hate to say the word death, but all the way to death, to really have an appreciation for a form of art that makes them smile, communicates there's a purpose, and there are people that all are behind us, helping us every day. And I do videos.
Yes, tell us about that.
I adore editing, and I have my husband, my lovely Tony Barone, sits in a corner, films me doing crazy things in my green screen room, and then I edit them and put out a video every Saturday at 8 a.m. in the morning. Karen Barone Style on Instagram and Karen Barone on Facebook. If you want to be entertained, you must see them.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with Limelight. And yeah, check out her art on Highway 111 and El Paseo.